my God. Your background is like, no way.
It's can you even hear me through this?
Yes, perfectly.
You're great.
Oh no.
This is so
Stop
good.
barking. I was like, this has been like so excited you guys are here.
Look at us playing and having
This
fun.
makes me so happy that you're a unicorn. I love it. Is your okay, so I have a couple inflatable costumes. Did you just plug it in?
So I did plug it in, but I'm sitting, and so it kind of like.
Yeah, I know. We're well aware.
You know how this rolls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where they don't inflate right sometimes.
I'm probably gonna have to take it off my face, but I'm so excited you guys are with me today. I'm Jen from Spring Valley Farm, and I'm here with
Jessica at Harmony Harvest Farm and
Stephanie at Harmony Harvest Farm too.
I'm probably gonna have to peel this off. So
that's fine. Hey, it was a delight that you did that. So that made my day. Here, we're gonna.
I'm just excited. Whoops. I'm just excited that you guys got my email to dress up because.
Yeah. Okay, Catherine makes sure that everything happens. Catherine's the bomb. All right, I'd love to sit here and say that, yes, we got that email. No, Catherine got the email and was like, "You need to be in costume."
Well, you never know what people are gonna think. They're probably like, "Oh my gosh, this midlife woman is asking us to dress up in costume." But if people know you, that this is like who you are. You dress up.
Yeah. Because
that's so funny.
Sometimes life is a little too serious and we have to remember to also play and embrace the fun and delightful and soft side of life. And it's easy to do that in costume.
Yeah.
And it takes us right back to being big kids, right?
I agree. And so I'm approaching 50 this year. And I'm like, I don't know. I've always been like this because I've always been someone who follows the rules and does everything the right way. But I love being kind of off the wall. And so occasionally I bought this costume, I forget, probably 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And it was right before, I think, or right around when COVID happened and we were all kind of locked up. And so I'm a school counselor too. But at the time I was working with junior high students, but they knew Mrs. Way. They were this was not anything off character. So I would sometimes go around school wearing this when we went back to school, but I've worn it on our farm. Our animals don't care anymore. At first the horses were a little what is this? But then
they're gonna is this gonna take my food? That's what the horses were thinking. Is this unicorn gonna try to take my food? That's what they were thinking.
They were the first video my son shot of me, and it was to some sort of Spanish music. I don't know. Yeah. And the horses saw me and Willie bolted. Pearl went around snorting, and it was just, it's fun like that. And you're right. It's everything's so serious. You have to find joy in the simple things. And if it means dressing up in a costume and parading around your farm, so be it. I also have a big inflatable unicorn sprinkler.
Us too.
Everyone. Somebody gave it to me. I think one of my kids gave it to me, or my sister sent it to me for a birthday present. It's 6 feet tall. So I inflated it.
And I have the same one.
It's out the horn.
Yep.
Yes. Same one. Yeah. No, I, especially when you're farming and you're dealing with Mother Nature, where literally nothing's out of your control. Nothing's in your control. It's this makes sense. Once you've done it for a while, you're oh yeah, I totally get that. That makes sense. Cause you just have to it's a comedy. It's a circus, right? I mean, when you're dealing with who knows what, it's a circus. And sometimes we chose to lean into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not a generational thing for my husband and I. We bought our farm, it's 10 years ago. Like,
Yeah.
so
That's amazing.
yeah, definitely. We did not grow up in agriculture families. So, like our story is kind of funny that way. But when you add animals into it too, it makes it very bizarre. And you realize you have no control over many things on your farm.
Mhm.
So yeah,
And I'll say too, we grew up on livestock farms, and I think we were like torn, like we wanted to do flowers because we were like, oh no, we're not gonna do livestock. That's too like wild, you know.
But you know,
Boy, oh boy.
we had a really privileged, I think, childhood, and we like to talk about the perspective that that gave us because our parents both worked during the week, and we lived literally next door to our grandmother who had spent her whole life living off the land and had a 100-acre farm. So we would literally walk next door to grandma's house. Doesn't that just sound quintessential? And we had the chores of the farm, but we were helping to can, and it was grandma's house, and it was kind of felt like the 50s. And so for us, we had creative play on that farm all day long. And so we just never grew up. Now we're adults doing it a little bit differently, but it feels like my childhood again. And like I was so blessed with such a beautiful childhood. I never wanted to leave it. And now I can show a little bit of that to other folks, you know, and we can all kind of reconnect over that. But it's so awesome to see like everybody that comes into this world and being able to find their like souls, you know?
Yeah, their little place in this world. I know, like for us, it's like we just wanted a different life. You know, we had both grown up in suburbia. We had like our children are our youngest will be 18, so they're adults. But they've grown, half their lives was, you know, here, and being able to provide that experience has been amazing, you know. So I know it's a lot of work, and there are sometimes I'm like, what world do we get into? Like, why, you know, like we just can't relax. I mean, really, you can't relax. And but there's this nostalgia, there's this beauty about it. Like just in the morning at dusk, you see that. And that is what people love. Like that's what draws people in, I think, because they might not be able to have a farm. They can't live that life for whatever reason, or they choose not to, but they love living it through you.
Yes.
And I think it's the same with you guys. You guys take this humorous approach to everything you did. Like the tractor thing was hilarious because I'm like, that's my husband. Like our tractor was not working. And it's like, you're like, oh my gosh, the tractor's not working. I need to like till some things.
Yeah.
And, you know, he knows how to operate that thing. It's older. And I'm like, that's your thing. And he's like, I'm a mechanic. And like, I'm like, well, you have to figure it out because I'm doing the other stuff. But how did you guys come to deciding a name for your farm? And like, how did you came from agriculture. You kind of wanted to do it differently. So tell a little bit more about that process of creating a name, creating a business. And I'll let you share that now.
Go for it, Jess. Jess and her husband named the farm.
Okay,
so
but you have to like it's a wild beast of a story, I'm gonna say. We grew up on a family farm, but my sister and I ran away to college, right? We go off and see the world, and she ends up in a different state doing digital marketing. Okay. I ironically fell in love with someone who wasn't from where I grew up, and I was like, great, we're going to end up somewhere different too, until he told me he took a job in my hometown, and I'm like, oh, so going right back to where I know. Blessing, you know, it was not something I necessarily saw in those early 20 years coming back to where I was from, but we landed here in the Valley. And when we were first here, this was before the farm, This was before I was called to be a flower farmer, before anything. And you have to know, I have always been the weird one in the family. They call me the visionary. I say that like pieces of the future come to me and don't always make sense. And I can vividly remember the stoplight and the intersection I was at. And for some reason, Harmony Harvest came in my head. And I called my husband. I said, what do you think of this? Harmony Harvest. And he was like, what is that? And I was like, I don't know, but I kind of like the ring of it. And as our young married life developed, and I was like, I need to like find a farm and like live a more at-home lifestyle. I wanted to have kids and raise them off the land. Yeah. And so then I was like, and I've already named it. Like I came up with the name before I knew that that's what I wanted. And I tell people this because we like to be really authentic with our story. My husband and I were really young, fresh into our careers. We had not a lot of money. That's what I'm trying to get to. And we were like, we want to have a farm. Those two things don't jive well. My parents, very smart, conservative, practical people who saved and were in a wonderful spot that they, we call it gentleman's farming. They kind of small farm on the side while they had careers and they were retired. My dad said he needed hay security. He basically wanted land to produce hay for the small sheep herd that they had. And so he said, you know what, you guys are looking for a farm and nothing is in your budget. And I would like some hay land, but I'm kind of at the end of this. What if we help you buy a farm that has the land I need? And as you grow into the farm, you buy it back from us.
Okay.
Blessing. Yeah. So my parents with us acquired the Little Run Road 201, which is now Harmony Harvest Farm. So I was like, great, we have an address and we have a name. So what are we gonna do? Right? Yeah. My mom is like, what are you gonna do? So I have an 18-month-old and my husband is working like around the clock just so that, we can keep the lights on. And we are pretty lucky that we're in an agriculture Bible Belt with a really strong vegetable production operations in our area. And there's an auction house. And I was like, great, I'm going to grow vegetables. Okay. So I spent this summer, my dad helped me and we planted green beans, and my 18-month-old, I should not tell you how many times I burned that poor child out in the green bean patch, picking green beans, and we washed them, and her and I carried our 6 waxed boxes of green beans to that auction. I've never been so proud until I went to leave and I watched wagon after wagon after wagon filled with pallets and a stair-step family of children that had helped do all the work. And I was like, Addie, we can't compete. Like, I'm never going to be able to do green beans or have that many kids. That was a warning of my future. I have 4 children. Like, after I said that, I then had another one and then twins. And I was like, I shouldn't have said that out loud. But I felt really deflated. And literally the week after that, we went on a family beach vacation. So I got to sit on the beach with my sister and my daughter and my mom in the middle. And mom was like, okay, so green beans. And I'm like, yeah, not doing that. And Steph was in Charlotte and she was like, Mom, I need my thing. Like, I'm tired of working for people. I'm looking for my thing. Mom's like, okay, well, one kid at a time. And she there was a pause. And this is what we say is kind of the flip of the switch in our story. She looked at me and without any real point of reference, she said, Jess, where did florists get flowers? And in a split second, I was like, there is the ability to sell cut flowers. I didn't even think of that. And I was like, that's it. Out loud, I said, that's it, Mom. That's it. And she said, what? I said, we're gonna do cut flowers. And I immediately packed up my beach chair with her. We spent the rest of our vacation in the public library and on the computer, realizing that this was a dying subsect of American agriculture that was just beginning to feel a little bit of a revival, and that it embraced all the things that we loved about agriculture, that we cared about, and it felt obtainable for me to do this with a small child and my mom. So it also gave me the opening to call my sister every weekend and be like, don't you want to come back home?
And I said, no,
And
I'm never
work with
coming
me?
back. And
Where were
working
you
on
at this point? Where like
I was
were
in
you in
Charlotte.
Charlotte? Okay.
Yeah. So she was in Charlotte and we decided we were going to be a flower farm. And mom and I were going to do it together. It was the two of us. And I'm a firm believer in having a good network. And so I actually I found a mentor right out the gate, brought someone in to really kind of look at production, tell me what I should be doing. That was a wonderful chance for me to kind of start at a good spot. When we got into flowers, I was doing a lot of wedding design. It was all kind of falling on me. And as I was doing weddings, I'm watching flowers come in and I'm like, okay, some stuff is being shipped to me. Why can I not ship? And everybody said you can't do it. And I was like, well, I'm not the kind of girl that likes to be told you can't do something.
I'm going to prove you wrong.
Right. So I talked to my sister and I was like, I think I want to ship flowers. And we kind of bit that off together. She started helping with the website through us kind of working on that project at the same time. I was at a national farming convention and somebody said, hey, I don't know, I look like somebody that people should whisper things to. And they were like, hey, I hear that there is this, I know you do weddings and design, and I hear there's this design tool company that makes sustainable stuff called Flower Frogs, and they're going out of business. You should buy it. And I was like,
I thought you guys created. So this is good stuff.
We purchased the company.
So I'm like, what is this? I'm intrigued. So I call this lovely lady in New York. And she was the owner of Dorothy Biddle Flower Company that had manufactured flower frogs, which are design tools. And her family had been doing this for eons and eons. And she had just had grandbabies and they were twins and she wanted to spend time. And I'm like, I am a fresh mom of twins. This feels meant to be. Let me come and see your business.
My gosh.
And I told my sister, I said, this is it. This is your thing. Like, I need you here to help with the flower farm, but we could do the second business. It works so well with what we believe in. And it allows us to have a company that we can really show what we believe. And so she ended up together. We bought the Dorothy Biddle Company and named it Floral Genius.
Yes.
We moved to Virginia on the flower farm where we are manufacturing, literally hand making these floral tools with a team where right where the flowers are being grown. And it was enough of a caveat to suck her back from Charlotte because now she had skin in the game.
I had a business that I was like, well, it's probably not ideal to live 4.5 hours away from said business.
Right.
So here I am.
So we really kind of bit off a whole lot as we were beginning the shipping of the flowers, as we were beginning this manufacturing company. Both of them had boxes going out. It allowed us to talk from both sides to different people. So from my little ag brain, I'm talking to manufacturing people who are moving things, and it gave me a wild perspective of how I could do this. And then from us in manufacturing and moving things on a global, because we export the flower frogs, we were learning so many pieces that really
that's a whole different ball game when you're selling a product that you manufacture and you're shipping it worldwide. And what I love about your product, the frog, I'm putting my hair down because it's like,
go for it. We are a hair down kind of crew.
What I love about it is like, the traditional frogs, they were like glass and they would kind of sit on the top of vases and they have like little holes, but you would have to, like, for you just stick it in. And you design.
Oh, it's so easy.
It's very easy. And what a business, like, for some reason, I didn't know the backstory of that. I just thought, oh my gosh, they created this product and it like worked out for you guys. But like to know that you actually
saved it.
you guys like have like evolved this business into just more than growing flowers. And it's like,
what is really, really neat about the flower frog company, like when I tell you that Floral Genius, us building that out, it really felt so in line with Harmony Harvest. Dorothy Biddle, who we had bought and acquired, that was a female-run business. This was a female-created product. This predated the World Wars. Like, this is old product that it was on its way to like just being obsolete. And for us, we didn't want to see more options leave being able to be fabricated in the US, really good, sustainable, long-lasting tools. Our product, we tell people we are not out there to be the cheapest. We are out there to be a part of your journey in life. Like, these tools, they get passed out. These are nice investment pieces into your discovery of floral design. And then for the same thing for the flowers, like we truly believe in what we're putting out there. And so wanting to make longstanding sustainable impact, both businesses just give us the ability to talk to so many more people and just spread our passion.
I know you definitely are passionate about it. And I love seeing that because I think it's what attracts people to us. It's like, if we don't show that about our farm, like, then people aren't going to, they don't want to be a part of that. I feel like you have to be passionate about what you're selling, what your products are. And also you're looking at sustainability, like, because growing flowers is hard. Like, it is hard on you. And I feel like for longevity of a business, you have to have other sources of income. It can't just be growing bouquets and putting them out at a roadside stand or bringing them to a farmer's market. I know people do that, and I'm not, but I feel like there's so many, and that's why I wanted to have you guys on. There's so many different facets of growing flowers for profit and the branches of that. Like, you guys, I think how I found you was because of shipping. Like, you actually ship your flowers, and that was like crazy to me because I don't even know when I started following you. I can't remember how many years ago it was, but I remember that you did have a shipping course. Like, you guys had a shipping course, and you were already shipping your product, like flowers, which I was like, oh my gosh, that's, like, I don't know of many people that do that. And now there are more people that do it, but there's an art to it. So explain how you got into the shipping part and why you did that.
Yeah. So like basically the interesting thing about shipping flowers is there's not a book. There's no resources. That it is definitely something that, has been mastered for sure by our commercial growers in California and Florida, and by a lot of, wholesale people, of course, throughout the whole United States. But, for people who aren't like walking into a legacy shipping operation, what do we do? And so for sure, like, I mean, it was, finding boxes and not just finding them, but, realizing that we actually needed our own boxes, and then understanding like how those boxes like affected our shipping rates. And then also like what flowers shipped and what flowers didn't ship. And also when you harvest flowers for shipping is a little bit different versus when you harvest them for bouquet work or wedding work or what have you. So honestly, it has been a total learning curve for us. Now, I will say that like what I find really interesting about shipping flowers is that like the blooms that will ship, I believe, are largely dependent upon how you grow, where you grow, all of these things. Because for a lot of people, they won't ship dahlias. They're like, no, we absolutely won't ship dahlias. Now, we're not shipping cafes, but the palm dahlias for us, we've had wild success shipping.
They last. They're a really good flower to have because I use them a lot for like corsages, like especially homecoming time, and the palms are like my go-to because they last.
Exactly. For us, it was also like there was so many systems and pieces of this that had to be put into place. One thing that I think we had working for us is when I really ramped up, I was very pregnant. And so I had no choice but to have labor, hands, and help. And so we've always worked with a team, and shipping flowers absolutely requires a team for us to be able to pull off the timeline of being able to harvest, condition, design, package, fulfill, and get it out the door. It's just really hard to do that profitably if you're kind of a one-man step for all of that.
Right.
And as we've been trying to perfect it, my bigger piece and challenge of this is figuring out how much of this I can almost standardize and make more consistent, so that more people can do this. I don't know if we can get to the point where it would just be a one operational thing, but if you had one extra person that could come in and help, and being able to find ways that we can expand that. Now, one of the things that we have really been challenged with, and I think my sister has done an excellent job of differentiating us compared to everybody else. This is still Wild West. Shipping flowers, there's not a lot of people doing it. Right. And it is still like we're all figuring things out. We have been able, and let me tell you, at times it has virtually almost killed us, been able to offer the level of service and the buying experience that the general public wants. So if you're dealing already with people in your ethos, it's a little bit easier, like, hey, they ship this week. We're dealing with the people who don't know us and have jumped from Amazon. So they want it like the next day, they want to buy it at midnight, and they think that they don't necessarily. So we're trying to get them in and be like, we are family. We are just people. This is the experience. And then through the discovery of Harmony Harvest, we can start taking those people and being like, there's a whole world of flower farmers and small farmers, maybe even in your backyard. I'm glad you found us, but now look around. So we really take hold of that discovery model to try to share the synergy, because you would still be wildly surprised how many people are ordering from us that are ordering from, like, the alternative was 1-800-Flowers. They had no idea that there was a flower farming world out there.
Yeah. I actually did an interview earlier this week, and the journalist was like, this has been the most exciting, really, like, he's like, I have gone down so many rabbit holes, and it was about sustainability and locally grown flowers and all of these things. And the cool thing was that he said, he talked to florist, and he had talked to Deborah Prinzing at Slow Flowers, and he had talked to us, and I think he was going to reach out to some other people, but he said, like, we're all telling the same story. And that is, find your local flower farm. Be curious. Like, let's give people, like, not necessarily like it was interesting because he's like, literally, I've never done a piece where the messaging has been so consistent across the industry, where people are saying like, no, like, we don't hate imports, and roses grow great at the equator. Like, we don't hate that. However, we do think that, like, people don't understand where their flowers are coming from. And we think that people should have the right to choose and have the right to have the information they need to make decisions and he was like, I didn't know, I'm in New York and there's like 10 flower farms now that I know around me. And I'm like, go to them. Right. No, you're a farmer. So like, I think that one of the things that we've done a really great job of is saying, like, yes, of course we want people to spend money with us because we're all like, we're a business.
Try to keep lights on.
Right. But at the same time, for us, it's every person we touch is another person we can tell about the real story about American grown flowers. And that, you can come to us when your local flower farmer is, exhausted or doesn't have, can't like have the things you need. But, by all means, check with them first. If you're looking for local flowers for your friend down the road and you just want to send like American grown flowers, like, we're a great option if there's nothing around you, but always explore your community, connect with your community. And it's really important for us to tell that story.
Yeah, I think it's important too. I mean, during 2020, when everything was shut down and the farms were the only things open, how many people just like flocked? I mean, I couldn't keep like anything on the table, like it was just selling out so quick. And so it was you wonder, like, all those people kind of went back to convenience in some ways. Some people stayed, but like Trader Joe's sells things so cheap. And it's such a impactful display when you walk in the store and you're like, oh, I want some flowers. But the reality is you don't, like, I don't even know where they came from, number one.
Correct.
And so there's like a morality piece to that too. Like we're very, the United States is far from a perfect country, but we are very privileged in the fact that we have the EPA and we have, really great labor laws. And I'm not saying that every flower that's imported is coming from someone who is, disadvantaged. However, you also what do you know about their ethics? What do you know about the chemicals they're using? What do you know about how they treat their workforce? Like, at least in America, you kind of it's the devil you know. And I hate to say it like that, but really, the devil you know is better than the devil you don't.
Well, and it's also, it's the ability to have a connection. Like, let's not mince words here. Flowers are a luxury purchase, right?
Yes. They're not, you need them. You know what I mean?
Correct. I mean, you do, but
I think you do.
But if you're going to do that kind of purchase, and shouldn't you feel really good about it? And so it gives the extra step of having a personal relationship in addition to getting something that is a luxury purchase, an investment in yourself. It doesn't feel that luxury when you're grabbing those cheap flowers at Trader Joe's versus I had the nicest chat with Jane down the road who told me about the 3 times she started those zinnias, and I am really vested to see how they come up later, and I grabbed these spring daffodils while I was there. That feels like a luxury purchase.
Yeah.
And you know what? Jane's kids now get those really flashy Converse they've been screaming about. So that's where I think we all want to spend our money. I think sometimes we get really busy and we kind of forget. And so your loud girls here and all the other amazing champions and ambassadors we have that are using our voices to be loud for the cause of all of us. That's what it's going to take. Meet your neighbors. Invest. This is how we build better communities, and communities don't have to just be where we are. We can be part of a community,
a bigger picture.
And that feels good, right?
What's next for you guys? We're just wrapping things up. It's gone by quick, but
I'm sorry.
Yes.
We are talking.
Yes.
No. I want, this is what I want this to be is providing information to people that may be newer in the field or they're, been around. And so these are different aspects. And I love how excited you are about everything. I want you to talk. I'm a counselor. I'm a school counselor. And so I'm so used to other people talking. That's my job is I am not going to talk the whole time. I want people to share their story, but I'm wondering what's up next for you guys. You guys are you're busy people. Your farm is busy. You have so many different things that you're involved with, but what's next?
Executing what we have now. I think
I don't know. I'm what is what do you feel?
I think our biggest thing of what's next is I'm really excited to see where we go with the specialty chrysanthemums. Honestly, we have really big plans. We have big ideas around that, and that's where a lot of our heart and soul is kind of getting poured into. And then of course, just expanding and continuing to spread the flower love.
For anyone that's unaware, so we have this initiative called the Mum Project. And you can tell we really believe in some of the fundamental beautiful things in agriculture, and your girls want to preserve and save. Having rural agriculture as a viable career option, having amazing quality tools like our flower frogs that are sustainable that you can feel good about in using. And then third, the Mum Project, which we have these specialty chrysanthemums that we have been preserving, and it's the only plant that we truly offer for sale. We mail order these. We have an extensive collection where we also offer online education to get folks going. We believe so much in the impact that these chrysanthemums could potentially have in getting more people into agriculture in general, not
beautiful.
just
For people that don't know, like the heirloom chrysanthemums are much different than the ones that you buy in the fall.
Yes.
They are like, and they take like, they're not for everybody. But they, you know, and they're a little bit more involved because I feel like they bloom later.
They do bloom later. They are more hardy than most folks realize. And there is a long bloom window. They're going to give you more of that rambling cottage garden look if you're putting them in
I
your
love
home
them. They're just
landscape.
beautiful.
For flower farmers, for us production people, like having the ability to have flowers literally through Thanksgiving and sometimes up to like Christmas, because they hold so well with those late bloomers, that it's an incredible resource. We've also been able to turn this into a spring revenue source for us on plants. And so we literally teach people
selling the
how they
cutting.
can, yes, and we teach people how to do this. And our plants, we believe that some of that's long lost knowledge, how to propagate and grow out new plants. So we want to teach this and give the ability, because ours are not patented, folks, so you can make more. And so that's a little bit of pouring into the industry, pouring into the future. We're looking at some educational curriculums with our vocational programs across the country to make these plants help educate our youth, foster continuing education in different universities and municipalities. We've been working really hard to get this out there. We want this to be a collective win, because the more people that are familiar, if we can all rally around a plant that we all can grow, we can all buy and find, we have the potential of actually creating the first US known exportable flower. And that would have to be a collective win. So if the US could actually be known for a flower, if we were all growing these different varieties, if we could all find our place with that, it'd be, I think, a really neat success story for small production American agriculture.
It sounds like an awesome plan. I know. I like, you guys are just, I've appreciated having you on. You are a wealth of knowledge. And, you know, Harmony Harvest Farms, if you do not follow them on Instagram, you're missing out, because some of your reels have been so amazing and hilarious over the years. I just, there was one year you guys were on fire and it was like hilarious. And Lady, what is it? Lady Monarch, your mom?
Yeah, that's our mom. So I'm your typical flower child. My sister is the busy bee. Oh,
and then there's Lady Monarch, and you see that
Lady Monarch is my mom, and people call her, and because she also usually answers customer service phone. So people call and talk to the Lady Monarch all the time. She loves it. She floats around in her butterfly wings. We have a good time.
Awesome. I know. I'm so thankful that you took the time to talk with me today, and I can't wait to share this, because it's like, it starts off hilarious. And just the message of finding joy in every day, and not being so serious all the time. You guys have an amazing farm and production company that definitely people like me look up to for information. And again, thank you for spending time with me this morning, and have a great Easter.
Absolutely. Easter. Yeah, we are all one big family. I am so glad you're in it, Jennifer. I hope you have a great Easter yourself, and that nobody forgets to find all the Easter eggs. That's what I'm hoping for, because I hate finding them a week later.
Or
all right.
Or
Take
later
care.
than that. Yes. All right, bye guys.
Bye.